Good morning and welcome to all my dears. Today we are discussing about pathology in ulcerative colitis. If our patient is having diagnosed as with ulcerative colitis, you can see a continuous inflammation of the colon proximally starts from the rectum, and the inflammation usually limits in mucosal and submucosal level. So the inflammation is continuous. It limits within mucosa and submucosa, and usually starts from rectum, but the peculiarity of the inflammation is it is very continuous. Very rarely it can extend from, usually it will limit from mucosa to submucosa. Very rarely it may extend up to, or it can extend up to muscularis, or very rarely up to cirrhosis also. So it is continuous, limiting mucosa and submucosa, and starts from the rectum. And next, about the microscopical examination. In microscopical examination, you can see necrosis of epithelium of crypts of liberty, the specialized cells of the mucosa of the colon, paste patches. In that area, you can see necrosis, and the cells are studded with microabscess. These microabscesses are known as crypt abscess, and usually the ulcerative colitis limits in the rectum, but it can extend from the rectum to the other parts of the body. So we can type the ulcerative colitis, or we can classify the ulcerative colitis depending on the location and extension of. As you know, the most of the ulcerative colitis that limits in the rectum, it is known as proctitis. When the inflammation extends to the sigmoid colon, it is proctosigmoiditis. When it extends up to the, from the rectum to the left side colon, it is left-sided colitis. When the inflammation extends from the rectum to the transverse colon, it is extensive colitis. When it affects the entire colon, it is pancolitis. when the inflammation extends from the colon to the last portion of the ileum or the small intestine, it is backwash ileitis. So, the type or classification of the ulcerative colitis can be a case of proctitis or proctosigmoiditis or a left-sided colitis, then extensive colitis, then colitis and backwash ileitis. Even though the inflammation limits within the mucosa and submucosa, on examination you can see the mucosa is very friable. That is why it bleed on easily touching, and the same account for the bloody stools or blood in the stools. More than the friability of the mucosa, there is denudation of the mucosa can be seen in patient with that means peeling or the death of the mucosal layer of the patient. So, friability accounts for bloody stool or blood in stool. Denudation of the mucosa results in loss of water absorption capacity of GIT, and thereby diarrhea is the main symptom of formation. So, in ulcerative colitis, the hallmark symptom of ulcerative colitis is chronic diarrhea and blood in stool. It is mainly because of the friability of the mucosa and the denudation of the mucosa. In long-standing cases, the inflammation extend to the or inflammation may extend beyond to the submucosa and muscularis, and it can affect the or all this pathology may leads to hyperplasia and fibrosis, result in fibrosis of the colon, or colon may lost its normal haustral pattern. So, in long-standing cases of or uncontrolled cases of ulcerative colitis, you can see there is hyperplasia of the cells. Finally, that may result in fibrosis. Because of the hyperplasia and fibrosis, the colon lost its normal haustral pattern. That means the colon may become very small or very fibrous or very hard, and you can see there may be some strictures at extreme areas of fibrosis. It is the lead pipe colon. And more than that, when the inflammation extends to the muscular layer thereby colonic muscle tone may be lost or impaired. Instead of the fibrosis, there is dilatation of the colon can be seen. A normal dilatation of the colon is less than 6 inches. But in ulcerative patient, especially with a chronic involvement or long-standing involvement, due to the loss of the muscle tone, the colon may get a dilate. In such condition, it is referred to as toxic megacolon. So, hyperplasia, then fibrosis, then toxic megacolon, then about the same inflammation can be extend up to the cirrhosis. A very long-standing, maltreated or untreated or undiagnosed case of chronic diarrhea or bleeding per rectum or bloody stools. So, after several years of such a chronic pathology, there is anaplastic and dysplastic changes can leads to multicentric carcinoma of the colon. So, CA colon may be the result. As the pathology advances, the same may leads to perforation of the colon also. It is very rare, but there is a great possibility. So, at first the acute severe inflammation, friable mucosa leads to bleeding, denudation of the mucosa leads to diarrhea. Then in advanced pathology there is hyperplasia, then fibrosis, then toxic megacolon, then CA colon. These are the main pathological changes that can be seen in long-standing cases of ulcerative colitis. In patient with ulcerative colitis, you can see the proctitis may affects near about 40 to 50% of the patient. The left-sided colitis affects near about 30 to 40 to 50%. It is 30% or 30 to 40%, and extensive colitis or pancolitis may comes near about 20% of the cases. Next, about the clinical feature of a patient with ulcerative colitis. I think that can be in our next class. Thank you for watching.